I have a love-hate relationship with blog writers when it comes to pro wrestling. Blog writers love to hold themselves higher than they really are in real life. The Dave Meltzers of the world think they are gods in the business. They think they are just so far above everyone else when they are just the same level keyboard warriors that the rest of us are on Twitter. They carry no power. The only difference between a regular person on Twitter and Dave Meltzer is that people within the industry recognize Dave Meltzer. Why they choose to recognize him, I don't know. Why people choose to leak all this information to him and his cronies, I'll never understand. I don't know if they... I just don't get it. Like, when I hear something leaking out, I'm like, why would someone tell Dave this? Why would someone give this information to Dave? What do they have to profit off giving up this information to him, Brian, or anyone else that works at that stupid company? I don't get it. But Dave Meltzer, he always does these star ratings to these matches. And you have people within the business that, for some reason, most people, their goal when it comes to professional wrestling is to win the championship at I almost said the name of my company, WrestleMania. That's their goal. That's their ultimate career goal, is to win a championship at WrestleMania, main event, and win a championship at WrestleMania. But you have so many people in the business, mostly younger people in the business, their goal is they want a 5-star Dave Meltzer match. Why? Why? Why do you want to have your ultimate career goal be that someone on the internet that isn't even in the business, that ultimately has no effect on your career, the pinnacle of your career, you want a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer? What has happened to the wrestling business? What has happened? It is so ridiculous. So I'm just going to fire through some of these ratings that Dave Meltzer did. And wow. Start the show off with MJF and Wardlow. Not going to get into the MJF stuff because I'm waiting to see what all happens with MJF and AEW. It looks like a work. It feels like a work, but they really want you to think it's a shoot. So I'm going to hold off on that. It was a good match. It served its purpose. It was supposed to be this huge blow off where Wardlow finally gets his freedom from MJF. It needed to be a squash match, and that's what it was. MJF running around the ring, finally getting caught by Wardlow, and then taking 10 power bombs for the victory. Meltzer gave it a 3. I think this is going to be the only match where we agree. It's going to be the only match where we agree. I have a feeling. Actually, no, I'm looking at another one where we might agree. That's coming up soon. You had the Hardys and the Young Bucks. I refuse to learn which one of the Bucks is which. I refuse. It's Buck 1, Buck 2. Or, hey, look, a Buck is in the ring. Oh, they tag to another Buck. I refuse to learn their names. If you want me to learn their names, Tony Khan, give me a job. I'll learn their names then. There's another tag team that's in this rundown that I refuse to learn their names. We're going to get to them in a minute. But the Hardys, this should have been like their farewell match. Matt, for the last 2 years, has been sad to watch. Jeff, especially this last few months, his wrap up at WWE and the short time he's had in AEW has been sad to watch. They can't do it anymore. They're pushing themselves way too hard to do it, And I'm 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 honestly worried for them. I'm worried that something is going to happen to them that they can't recover from. And I don't want that for them. They've had too long and too great of careers to basically end up wheelchair bound the rest of their life. So they rated this one a 4. Dave Meltzer rated this a 4. And don't the Bucks, they have a move named after Dave, don't they? This is how little I care about the Bucks and want to know about them. I think they have a move named after Meltzer. Is it the Meltzer driver? I don't know. I think it's Meltzer something. It's a dumb move anyway that, you know, it looks so fake that I don't know why people believe it. Rated it a 4. I don't agree. There were moments in the match that were decent. They were okay. I probably would have given it the same as Wardlow MJF. I would have given it a 3. The other one where we probably agree, Jade Cargill, Anna Jay. Jade Cargill is the TBS champion, which is it's the equivalent to what they used to call the TV champion, but it's for the women's division. TBS is for the women, TNT is for the men. I guess because TBS shows all those reruns of Big Bang Theory, so it has to, that the women's title has to be for TBS, because TNT is all about the drama and action. They get the men's TV title. Anna Jay was supposed to meet Anna Jay at a show that I worked at right before COVID hit. Then COVID hit, and she immediately got signed to AEW. She's now dating Jungle Boy, I think. Good for her. She's having a good time over in AEW. But and Jade's undefeated. Both of these women are still very green in what they're doing. Still so green. And it showed. It showed so hard in this match. I felt at points I was feeling bad for them. Dave rated this a 1 3/4 star, and I have to agree with him on that. Then we get into the House of Black, which is Aleister Black, Buddy. He's Buddy Williams now. He was Buddy Murphy, formerly engaged to Alexa Bliss, and some big dude. Some big tattooed guy. Can you tell I could not care less about some of these people in AEW. We're still working through that growing period of trying to figure out what people work and what don't. But, you know, I understand what they're trying to do with House of Black. It just hasn't worked. They were going up against Death Triangle. This is a trios match. I hate the term trios, but apparently it's here to stay. It's a 3 versus 3. And Death Triangle, which was made of the Lucha Brothers, another tag team. I refuse to learn the names of the individual people, and the Bastard Pack. The one Lucha Brother constantly does his little taunt to the fans. The fans that like go to these shows, they know what that chant is with his hand. I don't want to know what it is. I know people are going to try to tell me what it is. I don't want to know what it is. I don't want to know. But I think it's in his contract that he has to do his little thing 10 times in a match. Because he will just randomly stop what he's doing to pose to the camera and do his little, whatever that is. No. But it actually ended up being a decent match. It wasn't like, oh my God, great. It was an okay match. It was an okay tag match. It was an okay TV tag match. Dave rated it 4.5 stars. Do people kind of see where he's kind of lost it here? He's kind of lost it here, you know. 4.5 for that. No. Nope. Most I would give it as a 3. Most I would give it as a 3. Then we had the Owen Hart tournament finals for the men. Adam Cole, baby, and Samoa Joe. And this match was kind of, it just never really got out of the gates. It was so just, It just never really meshed well for me. Dave gave it 3.5. Adam Cole won also. Gave it 3.5. I'd give it a 2.5. Then it was time for the women's finals. Britt Baker, DMD, who came out to some guitarist stroking in front of the camera. And then you had Ruby Soho coming out with Rancid, which probably would have been better if the crowd knew who the hell Rancid was. I think the only people that were excited to see Rancid play was Ruby Soho and CM Punk. They were the only two people probably in the building going, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. It's Rancid. It was a very lackluster performance. The crowd was like, okay. Oh, so this is the band that does the song. They're still alive? But it was another match where just like Cole and Joe, it felt like it never got started. It was just meh. And that happens way too often in AEW, where you look at these two people on paper and it's like, oh, that should be an awesome match. But then for some reason in AEW, occasionally it goes meh. He also rated this one 3.5. I'd give it a 2.5. And of course, Britt Baker won because her and Adam Cole, they're a couple, they're an item, and then we had to listen to Owen Hart's widow do a monologue. I still don't 100% know what she was saying half the time. At this point, I was getting a little fatigued, and I was distracted by the giant Kentucky Derby hat that she was wearing. Maybe they'll do the tournament again next year, and maybe people that should have won will actually win. Because I always thought the point of those tournaments was to help put someone over that needs to be put over, and to not put over two established people. I thought that was the point of tournaments. That was kind of the purpose of the King of the Ring tournament in WWE, to help really give someone a push that needs it, and to not, already, put over established talent, whatever. Then we had another trios match, but this one was an intergender. You had this is Sky and Paige, with Paige Van Zant making her pro wrestling debut. I always thought Paige Van Zant was hot when she first started out in MMA. Either time has not been wise to her, or she's been making some poor decisions in the plastic surgery department. She does have a pretty awesome OnlyFans, though, from what I understand. I don't have a first-hand account. From what I understand. They faced off against Kaz, and that was huge because of his prior relationship with Sky. Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti. Oh, boy. I like Ty Conti. I liked Sammy Guevara. I didn't like the match at all. I did kind of get a chuckle when Sammy super kicked Ty. Remember when I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to go too deep into Double or Nothing? But here I am, almost 20 minutes in. I haven't finished Double or Nothing yet. First show, everybody. Quacky chair. Match went too long for me. Dave rated it at 2.25. I'd go down to a 2. Kyle O'Reilly, Darby Allin. I really like Darby Allin. Kyle O'Reilly as a singles. I don't get it. He needs to keep him in tags. Don't let him do singles. Darby Allin. I like him in most of what he does. In this case, it was basically a piss break match for me. Darby about killed himself twice in this match, which is pretty much on par. I don't know why everyone's freaking out. Darby just caution to the wind, just dive through a rope and don't care if he's there to catch me or not. I'll hit my head as many times as I goddamn want to. Rated this with a 3.5. Super generous. I'd probably go down to 2.5. Then we had the AEW Women's Championship. Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa. Most people remember Serena Deeb in the Straight Edge Society with Punk. Remember with the shaved head and giant knockers? I think she's had the implants removed now and has let her hair grow out. She looks like an actual woman you would see on the streets again. Good for her. Thunder Rosa is one of those people that AEW brings in, has a strong following from the indies. But when I'm watching Thunder Rosa in a big time setting such as AEW, I don't get it. In a smaller setting, and let me not say smaller, but a more intimate setting, she probably comes off better. But when I watch her, every time I've watched her in AEW, I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't. Dave rated the match at 4.25. It wasn't one of Serena's best matches. At this point in the night, I was struggling. I was on the struggle bus so hard, and so many people in the crowd were too. And I think that's what really hurt the middle of the card, was that it was so long that everyone just kind of just started just falling into that. What? They're still going? That kind of phase. So yeah, that wasn't a 4.25. The Anarchy in the Arena match. You had the Jericho Appreciation Society. They came out dressed like the Backstreet Boys from the I Want It That Way video. They were in all white. I was waiting for Jericho to start singing Bye, Bye, Bye instead of that stupid ass fucking Fozzy song. But they came out and they came to the ring, and it was Morrison. Why am I thinking Morrison? Moxley. It was Moxley, Danielson, Santino Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston. There we go. That's what I'm thinking about. They came out to Mox's theme, which is Wild Thing, and it's the version of Wild Thing from Major League when Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn is coming out. If you want to know exactly what version it is. I like that version of Wild Thing, by the way. But they came out through the crowd, and the Jericho and his minions, they go out to the crowd to meet them. And when they started fighting, Wild Thing didn't stop. It kept playing. And the crowd kept singing along with it. And then when the song finally ended, it was fading out, and the crowd was cheering like, yay, it's over. And then it started playing again. It was like, psych. We have it on repeat. It ended up being Jericho and Mox fighting in the audio equipment. And Jericho grabs this random box that had one wire hooked up to it. So it had one wire hooked up to it. One. Unhooks the wire, then hits Mox with it, and Wild Thing stops playing. So they're trying to say that Wild Thing was playing because of that box that was unplugged. So what the hell are they going to do for music for the rest of the show? Wink, wink. Wink, wink. Does no one understand logic anymore? Wink, wink. At one point, Jericho was trying to get away on one of those little rascal scooters, but he couldn't get it started. Mox catches up to him, gets him in like this half chokehold on the machine while trying to drive it. Jericho, realizing it's not going anywhere, in the middle of the chokehold, is trying to turn it on for Moxley. They're fighting in the crowd. They're fighting in the concession stands. Everyone's bleeding. At one point, Eddie Kingston brings out a gas jug. But it's so obvious there wasn't gas in it. As much as gas costs, I don't think Tony would approve that expenditure. Especially since they were in Vegas. I don't know what gas prices is, but if they're like $8 a gallon in California right now, I can only imagine where they are in Nevada, in Las Vegas, where they rip you off on everything else. So Jericho's team wins. And before I say Dave Meltzer's score on this, I just want to address something. Remember how I talked about Deeb and Rosa at that point? Everyone was kind of worn out. Everyone was kind of in that kind of phase. In the context of the entire show, the Anarchy in the Arena match was okay. You have a lot of other podcasters and commentators that want to bury the fuck out of this match, regardless of the context. Within the show, the Anarchy in the Arena match was needed to really kind of like get the people back up and flowing a little bit. But when you separate the match and watch it on its own, when you don't look at it within the context of the whole show, that match sucked. That match is a shit show. But again, in the context of the pay-per-view, it worked. And I think that's the problem with so many of the commentators that are talking about the match. They're looking at the match individually and not looking at it in the context of the show. Dave Meltzer absolutely loved this match. He gave it a perfect 5 out of 5. I'd give it a 3. That's where we are. Then we had the triple threat match for the tag team championships. I'm going to be quite honest. I only know who the champions are. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. If you were to hold a gun to my head right now, I couldn't tell you who the other two tag teams were. Could not tell you. Couldn't tell you. Dave gave it a 4.5. Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus retain. I'll give it a 2.5. Then the main event, Hangman Page, CM Punk. CM Punk, of course, winning to become the champion. Dave gave it a 4.5. I'd give it a 4. So, old Davey boy, he loves him some Jericho. Judas in my mind.